Hello everyone, Hachadino over here, and today we are going to talk about the new tier sets. WoWhead has done an article about this, and as you might expect, Outlaw, Sovereignty, and Assassination have their thoughts and things that they want to say about this. Now, do remember that I do have a sheet for sub mainly, and this video will be about the Assassination and Outlaw because I have more of an overall view. I'm not as knowledgeable as these people, and then we are going to check the sub one in another video, and I will be going into more deep things and also why Fu has put those in there. Now, Deathstalker, the 2 set increases the power from our Deathstalker damage bonuses. This is very important. I'm not 100% sure if it works with Singular Focus. I haven't really checked because it's really bad for sub, so I just ignored it. But for the most people, we are going to go into Deathstalker, and then the damage ones is going to be Hunt Them Down, Clear the Witnesses, Fatal Intent, even if it's a super joke, Corrupt the Blood, and I think that's it, because everything else is kind of whatever. And then of course the Deathstalker's Mark damage. Deathstalker's Mark damage is a huge deal because you get those extra finishers, and every finisher is going to hit this very hard. And now for some reason that has a different effect on sub, but we are not going to talk about that right now. And then here are the thoughts from this. Now, of course, these are kind of whatever, and it seems that it does affect singular focus. You can also get increased damage on Darkest Night. Momentum of this pair is a very good talent for kind of getting some extra crit and things in AoE, and you also get crit damage that is very strong. And Clear the Witnesses is just every time that you can use it, you'll get that extra combo point and that extra damage. Now, as for this, do remember that shift from Assassination with Arterial Precision is going to add the 2-second duration. And now this is kind of the 2P is stronger than the 4P because, as you might expect, every time you shape you get that extra power. And also you put the Stalker's Mark a little bit faster, but that is not super powerful. Now, of course, it's boring, but it's strong, so it's just whatever. Now, there is one thing that you need to know about this is, of course, this part that assassination, you kind of struggle sometimes while you are not in Deathmark or a high energy situation like Bloodlust or a Haste Trinket or something like that. And then moving the mark around is very annoying. Bosses with long faces like we have in season 1 with Court and Answerek, you have to be very careful if you didn't have a banish, because as you know, ambush does put the mark and the target doesn't have it. To proc your Darkest Night and then sit on it until something is targetable again to put the mark on them, and then you know if they die you get the Darkest Night proc. Now, one thing that is important, of course, because if you already have Darkest Night, you can't press shift because you will lose an application on your Stalker mark and lose quite a bit of damage. Now, of course, this is one thing that we're also going to talk about some, but this is mainly for assassination. It's kind of a minefield. It's introducing more things in the assassination that you have to think about. Some people might like it, other people do like the, let's say, simplicity of how you play assassination. You have your things that you want to do, and you do then your cooldown phases every time you have to ship, or every time you press your death mark with Kingsbane. As you know, Kingsbane is not as strong as it was, but now let's go into the Fate Bound. This one it's more powerful on the Kingsbane side and also has some extra effects. Now Kingsbane does extra damage and has 4 seconds increased duration. This makes it quite stronger because, as you know, Kingsbane damage is not linear. It just go quite high and then it peaks. And they did cap the stacks, as you know, when it reaches a number of stacks, it stays there. Nowadays, it's not super hard with the two envenoms. You get extra pulse on application, and then you have those 4 seconds likely of fully stacked Kingsbane. This might make it so it does quite a bit more damage. Now, Edge Cliff flips an additional Fate Bone on activating Kingsbane. This makes easier to activate Lucky Coin, as you know, with the Cold Boot and things like that. Here, Whisper does say the thing out inevitable end and things like it. And now this seems a massive headache. Once again, friction on the tier set. These tier sets seem like they thought some cool things, but then when they implemented them, they didn't really think about how the gameplay is going to feel. Now, this of course makes the spec more of a true 1.5 minute cooldown spec. Because remember, in the last time, an assassination for a long time has been at 2 minutes with Vendetta, now Deathmark, and Kingsbane going into asynchronous, like you had 1 minute and then 2, and then you use them, and of course with Vanish and things. Now, this is going to be what you run. Now, if you have more power on Kingsbane, this is going to make, of course, Caustic Spatter strong. As you know, Kingsbane does get flurried from Caustic Spatter. And then, of course, if every 45 seconds they're auto spawning or there are things that you want to do with the Kingsbane, and if the target lives long enough, because remember, going from 12 seconds, the 14 seconds, sorry, to those extra 4 seconds to 18 makes it a target living for 18 seconds, and most of the power is backhanded into the end. This might not be as important as possible, but now you get a coin flick does help quite a bit, because as you might already know also, while you are in Kingsbane, you are also using your ships, and with arterial precision you get the shift on all of your targets, and they also will get this extra flip from Fatebound and also the crits, because you will also use Inevitable End and maybe Cold Blood even. Now, the tier set is great, but Fatebound is unplayable. The Deliver Dooms and things like that is very annoying. And then the Stalker just gives you everything. You have funnel, damage, extra crit, so your AoE is way more linearly with combo points, because remember, without Momentum of Despair, you have 15% less crit. And that, of course, helps a lot in AoE, but because Assassination is not sub, they don't get that one combo point per target. They need to actually crit on the target to get that extra combo point. And of course, Caustic Spatter does work with Hamden Down and etc. etc. And Darkest Night makes a strong Envenom work and other things. Now here he does explain what a headache is the new tier set. Remember, once again, friction, more thinking with Assassination. It is not welcome generally. I don't really play Assassination that much right now, but I do want to know more or less how it works. If it's very good on a boss, I will play it. So now, as a Cold Blood only starts after both stacks have been consumed, and if you want to match the edge case flips, they need to come after a Kingsbane, because you will flip and then you will want to do your Cold Bloods. And then they won't start the cooldown until some seconds later. And now then 45 to 90 seconds turns into 50, 100, and then it will drift further from intended timings, making trinkets less useful. And if your kill timer is weird, or if the boss faces in a manner that you don't like it, now this makes it so Facebook needs attention. We will need to see some changes, at least to make it not that annoying with Assassination. And now Fatebound Assassination, it's likely to see 0 play rate if it continues like this. Even as annoying as changing mark is, it is more annoying apart from not getting the lucky coin, or even when you get the lucky coin early, it's going to be annoying, and every time you're going to have the cold blood and inevitable end things that are very annoying. And here he does say that a lot of people would like to make Fatebound and Deathstalker be kind of similar. That makes it so Assassination is more versatile. Remember when Sub had Dust? It was very versatile. Not super strong, but versatile means that you can change cooldowns all around the fight and make you stronger when you want it to be. If your really leader need you to be stronger at 1 minute, you had it. If it needed you to be at 1 minute and a half, you had it. 2 minutes same, 3 minutes same, 2 minutes and a half, fine. Of course, as the fight went longer, you had to do more calculations and things, but it was very liked by some people, and other people didn't. They didn't get killing it because it was a problem. And Fatebound will not be played unless some things change. Now for Outlaw, Outlaw has a Trickster that it's getting a very good thing. As you know, they did change Killing Spree. Now instead of being a thing that makes you uncontrollable things and then you blink around and you might get killed because why not? Now it's a channel that of course is still goes from combo points, but you move a little bit slower and that's it. What I don't know, and maybe someone will tell me, is that if you can cancel it, because maybe you just cancel it when it begins and you just keep going. Now, what is the tier set? Ghost Strike deals more damage, has 4 increased duration, and now it flips 2 times from Ghost Strike. Now, Faithful Ending reduces the cooldown of Adrenaline Rush and Ghost Strike by 15 seconds. Now, it is likely the uptime of Adrenaline Rush it's going to be kind of the same because remember the tier set before helped it quite a bit, but now this added cooldown reduction will be almost perfect. Now, of course, it doesn't change the spec core much. You're still going to be using your between the eyes, your crackshot windows. Nothing of those is going to change. Now it's like said, or it doesn't look strong, but the 2 set is going to be a 13% increase. That is huge. And the deposit a little bit less strong, but with how front loaded it is, gain that extra 18%. It's like that. Now this is pure single target, and now the only thing that matters in WoW, as you know, is not single target. Everything, and this is where the problem comes. Same as Deathstalker with Assassination versus the Fatebound. Trickster has a lot of things that are also good. Now, the problems with Fatebound, she's going to say this, having Fate intertwined and Deliver Doom does make it awkward in AoE situations because, as you know, this is only a bit annoying. And now, the feedback itself is that the tier sets are not bad as Outlaw. In contrast with Sub and Assassination, that they are just annoying to play with. We are going to have to change things around and other things. Or maybe not change anything, but just be annoyed. And now, biggest problem is how the talent feel and play when you end up losing them. This, of course, we don't know how it's going to be in midnight. So let's go into the Trickster part. Now, Trickster, this is something that it shares with Subtlety, and it's kind of the same. The Unseen Blade has more damage and has a chance to refresh its cooldown. As it is right now, it doesn't have like an indication that you got a reset, so it's very annoying. But as Outlaw, the problem is not as much as Sub, because you do want to spend your coup de grace as soon as possible to get that extra power. One thing that will still be a bit annoying is that you can get more starting blade stacks than 4. Same thing with Sub. And it's going to be a little bit something that you will have to think about. Now, of course, Killing Spree is changed. Now it has the super attack. It's like the Moxie one, the Moxie from the Iron side. Like you begin doing Let me show you my little friend. You can put that into there. And now this is a cascading effect. If you get a lot of unseen procs, you get more coup de grasses. That make it so you have more energy and you get more stacks of the mastery, the finisher thingies. And then this is the problem. You generate too many unseens with no way to properly spend them. The tier set is strong because you can get to 4 stacks with Coup de Grace, but although it doesn't have what Subtlety has, they can't really like stack combo points and then use 2 Coup de Graces in a row. So while they are using the Sinister Strikes and maybe other things to get to those 5 or 6 or 7 combo points, they are going to lose some unseen blades, and it really feels bad. Even if the gameplay itself doesn't change that much, you can't build new stacks of Coup de Grace. And then, of course, you overcap. Now, this tier set isn't as powerful, but there is a lot of APL work to make it so this annoying thing can be a little bit more optimized. And Trickster will still be played in Cleave because of Nimble Flurry, making it so Blade Flurry is stronger, while Flawless Form is active. Now, this is of course something that will need to be looked at because Keen Spree has been changed. It's way less annoying, but the channel duration feels a bit long. Let's see, over 3.5 seconds, almost 4 seconds of channeling. That can be a little bit annoying, yeah. And of course, a lot of power being tied to the cooldown of Killing Spree. Like he also says, he really wants to like the tier set, but lack of cohesion, just annoying. You can't track the reset. You get 4 starting blades and you can use a coup and then you have 5 seconds to use another one. But if you use more sinister strikes, you are going to get maybe more unseen blades, but those unseen blades don't give you escalating blades because you already have a coup ready. And then you use the other coup and then maybe you don't get escalating blades, and it's just annoying to play with. But of course, it's going to be numerically quite strong. Now, of course, Fatebound is stronger in single target, and then Trickster is going to be stronger in mainly Cleave, especially Mythic Plus, of course, for you Mythic Plus and Joars. But mainly you see kind of a bit of a spread. Maybe on more Cleavy fights you go Trickster, and on other fights with more need for single target you go Fatebound. And the core gameplay itself doesn't change as much unless they do some APL work for this to be a little bit less annoying. Maybe having enough energy to get those ones, or a way to get the Coup de Grace thingies ready. Now that is everything I wanted to say about these two. This is a very good overview. I'm going to of course link this in the description. Very cool. And of course I'm going to make a new video about Subtlety just after this one. So if you really like my Subtlety impressions, I will have of course more knowledge about it. And we will see. Have a nice day, and I will see you on the next video.